For the first time in over 10 years, Games Workshop has released new models for the Emperor's Children, a legion of Space Marines that once held a place of highest honor in the Imperium and has since fallen to be among the most corrupted and degenerate souls in the galaxy. Today I'm going to show you some tips for painting, kitbashing, and collecting these servants of Slaanesh. No doubt about it, the Emperor's Children are back. So, the new box is out now, and the new Emperor's Children Marines look absolutely phenomenal. They have great proportions, cool poses and weapons, and all kinds of nice details. I imagine that many people will pick up this box to use with Horus Heresy as well, because in many ways the kit is perfect for that. The basic rank and file Marines can be built two ways, as Infractors or Tormentors, and there's lots of cool poses and good compatibility with other Chaos Space Marine kits. As I started to assemble some minis, I was having a lot of fun doing some kit bashing. This guy's sword arm, for example, is from the Chaos Raptors kit. I even managed to make some use of some ancient metal noise marine bits that I've had since I was a kid. I gave this guy one of the old Blastmasters. The old arms actually match surprisingly well. Now, in the new Emperor's Children Codex, the choices are surprisingly limited. Some of the classic units that you might expect to have seen in this army are not there. Cultists, Predator tanks, the Defiler, the Venom Crawler, and even the Hellbrute and Sonic Dreadnought didn't make the cut into the new codex. But there are some classic Chaos units in there as well, specifically Chaos Terminators. Now I love Terminators, but there's just one problem. The new Marines are the tallest Chaos Space Marines that we've seen yet. They're close in proportion to Primaris Marines, which is definitely a good thing, but the unfortunate effect is that it makes the Chaos Terminators look small in comparison. I love true scale Terminators, so here's two methods to kitbash some. The first one is to use one of the new plastic Terminators that came in the Leviathan box. I already assembled these ones a while back, so I'll just pull off his arms, cut out his head with some snips, and with a very sharp knife I can carefully start carving away the Imperial Aquila on his chest. If your knife is sharp, you could make pretty short work of this. With a small file, I grind that down to make a relatively smooth armor plate there. I did the same for the Crux Terminatus on the knee pad. With it mostly smooth, I use a bit of very fine sandpaper to get rid of some of the fine grooves and scratches from the filing. I also cut off this GoPro dash cam type thing and carefully shaved off the purity seal on his leg as well. In the existing Chaos Terminators kit, all of the Chaos Terminators have loincloths with some grisly trophies, so I cut one of these off of the chest piece and trimmed it down until I could fit it roughly into the right place. This joint is absolutely hideous right now, but don't worry about that for the moment. Rather than make it perfect with putty, I decided to just add a bit from the new Emperor's Children kits, and added these two big syringes over this gap here. This has the benefit of saving a ton of time, while also adding some tremendous Emperor's Children character. For arms, I went with some cool arms from the old Chaos Terminator Lord kit. These have this fun, old school Chaos chunkiness to them that I really enjoy. I also added a rack of spikes from the Chaos Terminator kit, which of course gives him that iconic chaosy silhouette that I love. I added some shoulder pads from the Chaos Terminator kit too, then dug into my bits box for this old metal noise marine head. It's really freakish, with a long distended neck that's craning forward in an unnatural way. The Emperor's Children are known for their degeneracy and excess, and one of the ways that manifests is with all sorts of bizarre body modifications. So this is absolutely par for the course. Now this particular head might even be sticking out a little bit too much. I don't know, it's really freakish and unnatural, but I thought it added something distinct and disturbing to this model, so I went with it. Hell yeah. Another way to get the scale that we want on a Terminator is to use a third-party torso. This one here is from Tortuga Bay Miniatures, and it's inspired by the Tartaros Terminator armor from Horus Heresy. I put one of the heads from the new box in there. It's got a speaker for a mouth, which is pretty cool. Then I added some arms from the Chaos Terminator kit. A heavy flamer and a power fist should do nicely. I was surprised and pleased to find out that the spikes from the Chaos Terminator kit fit perfectly onto this kit as well, and didn't need any modification. That's an unexpected win. I glued the shoulder pads on, then added some Emperor's Children details, a pouch with a syringe on his hip on the back, and then I glued him to the base. As a final detail, I added this cool little loincloth with a Slaanesh symbol on it that adds a bit of sophistication and flamboyance to this guy. Here he is next to one of the new Primaris Terminators, it's just a tiny bit smaller. And here he is next to a bog standard Chaos Terminator. As you can see, the stature is a fair bit improved. I made 2 others in this style as well. This guy here has a great aggressive pose to him, and this guy here has a head from a World Eater's kit that has a great sneer that I thought fit the mini really nicely. It's worth pointing out that because of the shape of the torso armor on these, the tusked helmets of the Chaos Terminators would not fit in these bodies without modification. Now personally, I like to have as many of my guys as possible without helmets already, because I think it adds so much character, so I didn't mind. One of the new units in the new codex are called Flawless Blades, these crop top guys who are experts at swordplay. At the time that I made these, the kit hadn't even been released. I think it will have just come out when this video drops, but I was having so much fun kit bashing that I decided to make some of my own Flawless Blades. I decided to make the first one from the Possessed kit. While working on this project, I listened to the audiobooks of Fabius Bile, and there's a character in those books called Savona, who's a mortal female who's risen through the ranks of an Emperor's Children warband with ruthlessness and ambition, compensating for her lack of an Astartes superhuman strength with some mutations from the Chaos Gods. She's described as having hoofed feet and her power armor being modified to fit them. I wanted to make a similar body, and this one from the Possessed kit fit nicely. I started by trimming off the arm mutations that this model normally has because I didn't want this thing to look too mutated. I wanted some of the elegance and agility of the Blade Masters of the Emperor's Children to come through. I attached a backpack from the new Emperor's Children Marines, using the one that features the chemical stimulant vessel on the back. With a little bit of green stuff, I filled the voids where the arms go, then began to position on a sword arm, using one of the extras from the Tormentor's and Fractor's kit. I used the back of an X-Acto knife to sculpt some detail in the arm joint, but that should be covered by a shoulder pad eventually anyways. For the second arm, I went with a dynamic angle that makes this guy look like he's in some sort of flamboyant martial stance. This bizarre head from the new Lord Exultant kit completes the look. I finish off the mini by adding the shoulder pads. I think this looks cool as hell. It's a unique and characterful mini that nobody else will have. Let's make some more. The next guy I made was using a body from a Gal Vorback. This is a Forge World kit of the very first Possessed Space Marines from the Heresy era. This guy has similar legs, but is a lot more mutated. I started by using a hobby saw to hack off the right arm and his head, making sure to vacuum up that toxic resin dust promptly after. Ages ago, I tried to kit bash some true scale Noise Marines, but I was never happy with the result, so I'm going to lift this old Noise Marine head from that project and attach it here. A bit of green stuff underneath will help with the attachment point. I used another one of those Infractor swords to give him the appearance of a twisted and degenerate swordsman. A shoulder pad goes on as well, and we have another Flawless Blade. This guy is really pushing it with the mutations. His whole left arm is still this big mutated claw, but he looks pretty formidable in a fight. And he looks pretty good next to the first guy too. For the last Flawless Blade in my trio, I decided to get really weird with it. I had this vision of a really slim and odd looking guy in Artificer armor, so I started with some legs from a Stormcast Eternals kit. Next I used a head and torso from an ancient metal Noise Marine from the 1990s. It has this crazy manic skull face which I really love. Now as you can probably tell, I like to include details that pay homage to classic minis when I can. Now, my first instinct was to give this guy a long blade-like claw for one hand and a sword for the other, but I quickly changed my mind, replacing that claw for a hand in a neutral pose. Then I ultimately changed my mind again and gave him a second sword. I started to not like the mail skirt that he had either, so I mixed up some green stuff to cover it with a skirt of skin instead. Some extra bits further helped to sell the effect. Now, I thought about filling his waist in a little bit with the same putty, but the ultra snatched waist is so weird and psycho that I thought it would be fun to leave it. I think it's so funny that the Emperor's Children are bringing exposed midriffs back for men. For those of you who aren't old enough to remember, guys having crop tops and exposed midsections was a full-blown trend in the 80s, and it may seem silly now, but it was really cool back then. This is coming back, and within our lifetimes, by the way. You heard it here first. Anyways, there's the third of my Flawless Blades. Let's put some paint on these bad boys. Let's take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Into the AM. It is finally starting to feel like spring in Toronto. And for those of you who don't know, we don't have much of a shoulder season. You kind of put your winter jacket away and get right into your summer wardrobe. And Into the AM's relaxed button-ups are exactly the vibe. You can see they fit well, they're good quality, and there's lots of new styles. You can see I'm feeling myself here, maybe a little bit too much, but what can I say? It's been a long winter, guys. So go check out Into the AM, and if you use my link in the description, you'll get an additional 10% off your purchase. Thanks Into the AM for sponsoring this video. Let's talk for a moment about paint schemes. In this new release, Games Workshop has chosen a nice pink and black color scheme, and I think it looks cool, but it was a bit of a surprising choice. For most armies, Games Workshop goes for a predictable color scheme that has changed very little over the years. Ultramarines, for example, are always going to be pretty much the same blue. Blood Angels may have been a brighter red in the past, but they're still always going to be red. The Emperor's Children, on the other hand, are perhaps the Chaos Legion with the most chaotic color scheme. Not just in the flamboyance and vibrance in how they're often painted, but in terms of the wide variation between different people's paint schemes over time. Even the Games Workshop's official studio paint scheme, which is the one that shows up on the box art, has varied widely over time, and it's kind of interesting to see. In-universe, in the lore of Warhammer 40k, the colors have shifted over time as well, and the two things are closely related. In the time of the Great Crusade, before the Horus Heresy split the galaxy, the Emperor's Children's armor was a royal purple with gold trim. So how did we get from that to the pink and black of the present day? Well, towards the end of the Heresy, much of their armor shifted from purple to black. You can see these purple and black Emperor's Children minis as early as 1989 in the epic 40k army of Tony Cottrell. Now, this could just be a visual parallel of their descent into evil, but it seems like it was actually written into the lore that the Emperor's Children ran out of purple paint towards the end of the Heresy, and painted their armor black instead. There's a bit of a rumor online that this explanation was purely invented to justify the black tanks in Tony Cottrell's epic scale Emperor's Children army. I actually tried pretty hard to track down this bit of lore to confirm this, looking at old white dwarfs and codexes and stuff, but I couldn't find anything in writing to confirm or deny this. So let me know if you have any leads on this in the comments. Okay, so that's the black, but where do we get the pink from? Well, as it turns out, there's an audio drama called The Soul Severed, where a bunch of Emperor's Children are fighting each other amongst a giant chemical facility. And one side springs a trap, detonating a bunch of booby traps and dousing everyone in chemicals. The purple armor of the Emperor's Children is stained a vibrant pink, and the motifs and designs of the armor are warped and fused. So that would be the closest thing to an official rationale for why the Emperor's Children are now seemingly a pink and black army. Now, I've been around the block a few times and have learned some tricks about army painting, so I'm going to show you what I think is the most efficient way to paint this color scheme. So I start by priming everything black. Then I use a nice fuchsia tone through the airbrush, getting a pretty good coverage on everything, but leaving a little bit of shadow on the downward pointing surfaces. I come in with a lighter pink, touching everything mostly from above, and a final even lighter pink on just the highest areas should leave me with something like this. A totally pink model with a pretty nice gradient on some of the surfaces. For those of you who don't have an airbrush, of course I recommend getting one. You can get an airbrush and compressor these days for less than half of the price of a big box of Warhammer. I'll link a cheap one that I really like in the description, and once you get going it'll save you money on paint and save you so much time painting your army that you'll wonder how you ever got on without one. But if that's not an option for you for whatever reason, I would at least get a rattle can of pink paint, because painting pink over black with a brush will take several coats and a ton of time. Anyways, with that done, it's time to come in and add the black areas. At first here, I'm just going to use pure black paint, fairly thin, and block in all the black areas. Unlike painting pink over black, painting black over pink has incredible coverage, and will really only take one good coat. Choosing which parts to paint black is both fun and challenging. I like to paint portions of each leg black, and on this guy I chose to leave the torso pink and have one arm black and one pink. On another guy, I choose to make his torso black with pink arms. Really, you can just start blacking things in and keep going until you find a look you like. One of my favorite pieces of Emperor's Children art is this one by Adrian Smith. It features a Marine in completely black armor, and as you can see, he's degenerate, he's terrifying. It's fantastic. So really, if you just wanted to keep blacking in panels on the armor until they were all black, there's nothing wrong with that as well. But you could probably skip the step of painting it pink in the first place if you were going to go that route. I picked out any flesh areas in a neutral gray, then with a fine brush I began picking out the metallic areas in a dark silver color. Because the silver trim exists at the transition between a lot of black and pink areas, we didn't have to paint too neatly until now, but at this point it pays off to be neat. I mix in some lighter grays to add some highlights to the flesh, then add some cool gold bits to the weapons and details to make it really pop. I use a dark wash to add some contrast to the metallic areas, and then begin adding some chunky highlight. I start by just placing the highlights, not worrying about blending. then come back in and blend them later once I like the look I have going on. These guys are going to be part of an army of dozens of guys, so I'm not trying to go crazy chasing perfection here. That route only leads to damnation. I'm just going for strong, high-impact highlights that will look great at a glance. I did the same on the black areas. Rather than focusing on smoothness at the stage, I pick out key edges and go for important highlights that will accentuate the volumes underneath. At this point, I started to pick out some other details. I used this minty pastel green as an accent color in various places, and used some fluorescent green for the plasma coils on the guys who had plasma guns. This guy, who I gave the old Blastmaster, I decided to use as a plasma gun, so I painted this little area on his gun as a plasma coil. On a whim, I started glazing the fluorescent green over some of those pastel green areas, and I was really impressed with the intense vibrant green that I got as a result. That totally rules. I used a little bit of pink wash on places like the flesh to add a bit of tonal variation, and I used some normal flesh tones on the area of flayed skin, and picked out some straps and some dark leather color. I went for a very simple basing scheme on these guys, simply painting their bases black, then applying some light gray pigment powder. This allows the paint scheme to shine while adding a nice grounded look that will be easy to replicate across the whole army. Hell yeah. So there you have the simple way that I've painted my army with the pink and black color scheme, and I really enjoy the results. But here's the thing, you can paint your Emperor's Children any way you want. Not just because they're your models, and that's always the case, but there's a deeper reason why that comes from the lore. See, even before their fall to chaos, the Emperor's Children were always vain and flamboyant, and as they slid towards evil, their tastes only became more and more garish. And it's pretty sick and disturbing, some of the stuff they got into. See, the Emperor's Children have always celebrated themselves for their own pursuit of excellence. But as the influence of chaos took hold, their celebrations turned into degenerate feasts of excess. Revelries filled with narcotics, music, entertainment, and fine food and drink became more and more common amongst the Legion, and soon in the pursuit of more and more stimulating diversions, the Emperor's Children began to attempt to titillate each sense to the greatest excess. As this degeneration progressed, only the most intense sensations could temporarily satisfy the desires of the Emperor's Children. Only the most shocking and disturbing images, the loudest and most discordant noises, and the most intense physical sensations and agonies could even register in their addled minds. Very dark and weird stuff. Noise Marines in particular have devoted their lives to pure hedonism, and as a result, they're often described as decorating their armor with garish and vibrant colors intended to clash and assault the eye. Now, that sounds cool, but the thing about army painting is normally you don't want your army to be color clashing and a garish assault on the eye. I mean, it goes against all the instincts that we have and the effort we try to put in to make the army look nice to the eye. But still, I wanted to pay homage to the vibrant clashing colors that the Emperor's Children adopt in so many of their stories. And the Noise Marines were a perfect place for this. I began by painting them in much the same way as the other Marines, but then I added some extra colors. I used the mint green accent color, which was already featured widely across the army, but I also added a splash of brilliant blue. Blue was an accent color in some of the older Emperor's Children paint schemes, so it's a nice nod to that. Now for a final pop of color, I painted some areas yellow, then highlighted those carefully to make a nice gradient. With a fine brush, I added some black tiger stripes. The addition of an animal print really takes the flamboyance and garishness to a next level, bringing in a little bit of rock star flair to these guys too. By varying the placement of these spot colors between models, it makes them look like a riot of colors, but at the same time they still look very much like part of the same army as the rest of my guys, and actually surprisingly cohesive as a unit. I'm pretty pleased with that result. Well guys, that's it for today. I hope you picked up some tips and tricks from this video, and enjoyed seeing me put together the start of my Emperor's Children army. I have lots more to show you in the future, some secret stuff, some vehicles, some demons. We'll get there. I want to give a huge thank you to all of my patrons for their continued support, and thanks to Into the AM for sponsoring this video. Thanks for tuning in guys, and we'll see you next time on Eric's Hobby Workshop.